Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. This is our talk on the 9 attitudes of MBSR. So we've been kind of walking through those 9 attitudes. What I've been doing as well is I've gone through these attitudes probably 4 or 5 times in the time that I've been teaching on Insight Timer, and I think it's great to revisit them. It's important to remember these attitudes and things about them. And this time I'm reading from Full Catastrophe Living, so where these 9 attitudes originally come from is the instruction manual of mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is Full Catastrophe Living by Jon Kabat-Zinn. So today's attitude is I think the most counterintuitive attitude of all of the 9 attitudes, non-striving. So non-striving is this idea that we can achieve what we're trying to achieve without actually trying to achieve them. So that's quite interesting, and it doesn't necessarily make sense when we think about it on the surface level. So as we dig deeper into non-striving, we'll see how it works. And I'll read from Full Catastrophe Living, and then I'll kind of give some comments about it afterwards. So, non-striving. Almost everything we do for a purpose, to get something or somewhere. But in meditation, this attitude can be a real obstacle. This is because meditation is different from all other human activities. Although it takes a lot of work and energy of a certain kind, ultimately meditation is non-doing. It has no goal other than for you to be yourself. The irony is that you already are. This sounds paradoxical and a little crazy. Yet this paradox and craziness may be pointing you toward a new way of seeing yourself. One in which you are trying less and being more. This comes from intentionally cultivating the attitude of non-striving. For example, if you sit down to meditate and you think, I am going to get relaxed, or get enlightened, or control my pain, or become a better person, then you have introduced an idea into your mind of where you should be. And along with it comes the notion that you are not okay right now. If only I were calmer, or more intelligent, or a harder worker, or more of this or more of that. If only my heart were healthier or my knee was better, then I would be okay. But right now, I'm not okay. This attitude undermines the cultivation of mindfulness, which involves simply paying attention to whatever is happening. If you are tense, then just pay attention to the tension. If you are in pain, then be there with the pain as best as you can. If you are criticizing yourself, then observe the activity of the judging mind. Just watch. Remember, we are simply allowing anything and everything that we experience from moment to moment to be here because it already is. The invitation is to simply embrace it and hold it in awareness. You do not have to do anything with it. People are either referred to by the stress reduction clinic by their doctors or come on their own because of something is the matter. The first time they come, we ask them to identify 3 goals that they want to work towards in the program. But then, often to their surprise, we encourage them not to try to make any progress towards their goals over the 8 weeks. In particular, if one of their goals is to lower their blood pressure, or to reduce their pain or anxiety, they are instructed not to try to lower their blood pressure or not to try to make their pain or anxiety go away, but simply to stay in the present and carefully follow the meditation instructions. As you will see in the meditative domain, the best way to achieve your goals is to back off from striving for results and instead to start focusing carefully on seeing and accepting things as they are, moment by moment. With patience and regular practice, movement towards your goals takes place by itself. This movement becomes an unfolding that you are inviting to happen within you. So, Yeah, so I mean, I like this, and I think it's quite complete as it is. I think the thing to highlight in this is just how often we think that working hard towards something is the way to make it happen. And I think this goes for so many aspects in our life, including the cessation of pain and anxiety and our emotional states, or physically, right? I mean, we say, hey, like this can't be better until this is fixed, and we just kind of lose that ability to embrace ourselves as we are in this moment, to go, and as we move into acceptance and seeing how this kind of flows into it, right? That right now in this moment, this is how I am. This is the pain in my body that I'm experiencing. This is my emotional state. And, that's me. That's me right now. And it's perfectly valid. And I don't need to try and modify that in any way right now. And in fact, I think one of the interesting things about this meditation practice is getting involved in trying to modify it can in fact make the situation more intense or more painful. As we're feeling depressed, that maybe that judgment kind of comes in, that self-judgment, and goes like, oh my God, I'm depressed again. Like what's going to happen this week? How, like, maybe I'm not going to get my goals accomplished. And as we ponder it, as we try, as we go, this isn't how I want to be right now, I need to get rid of this immediately, we actually compound that problem and make it even worse, and cause ourselves to dive deeper into depression, for example. And so this loop kind of continues to feed itself. Whereas the meditation process asks us to simply be aware. So, oh, my right knee is still in pain. There it is. Oh, I still feel those uncomfortable feelings of sadness, and to be aware of it. And that's, what is interesting is how, and we talked about it last time as well, how awareness can allow thoughts and feelings to self-liberate, and that this is why we don't try to do anything with it. We practice being aware. We practice being ourselves in this moment. We practice not trying actively to change it, and it doesn't mean that we don't get anything done. I think that's maybe the mistake that a lot of people think about non-striving, is that non-striving means I'm not motivated to get anything done, and I think that's quite the contrary, because it allows us to be authentically and genuinely ourselves as we are right now, without needing to be somebody else, or without needing to be any different. And we can kind of use non-striving as that next step into acceptance as we move in this direction in our practice as well, and go, this is okay, I'm okay, and this is how I am in this moment. So can we open to the unfolding of the now and the as we are in this moment, without needing to be any different, without striving, without trying to grasp towards something else. And remember, everything is impermanent, everything is going to change. So don't worry so much about the way things are in this moment. I am aware that it's not okay, it will pass. It's okay to not be okay. Thanks, Gene. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get into our practice. So sit comfortably. crown of the head towards the ceiling, chin roughly parallel to the floor, bringing your back away from the backrest if that's possible for you. Sitting up straight and tall. If you like, allowing the eyes to close if that's comfortable for you. Settling into our meditation posture. And I'll invite you now to bring your attention towards the breath, wherever you find the breath most apparent. If the physical sensation of breathing is not obvious to you, you can always use your hands, placing the left hand down on the belly, the right hand on the chest. Concentrating our attention on these movements of the body as we breathe. And today in our practice, we will actively practice non-striving. So I invite you to be aware of the reason that you're here meditating today. Perhaps the reason you've come here is because you want your stress to go away. Or maybe you want to go to sleep. Maybe you're tired of the anxiety you're feeling, or your state of depression. So be aware of that as your goal. And right now, with your next exhalation, just let go of whatever goal you have for this meditation today, and perhaps all future meditations. If you can, commit to yourself to simply be with whatever is here today. There's a kind of self-hatred that actually comes with wanting to be different from how we are. So is it possible to just rest in the me-ness of this moment, the person who's here, the person that's meditating right now? This doesn't mean that judgments don't go away, that thoughts don't disappear, or that thoughts disappear completely. Is it possible to observe those as they come through, as they naturally arise on their own, as we try our best to keep our attention focused on our breath? And you may discover that without trying to relax at all, without trying to be any different, that relaxation may begin to come on its own. The current state of the body and mind may also begin to change. In fact, definitely will be changing. Can you open up, observe, be aware from moment to moment everything that's going on in this experience? Some of our experiences will be pleasant. Some of them will be unpleasant. Some experiences will be neutral, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Just watching, just observing, not trying to change anything, simply being with what is already here. Observing this breath. And seeing if you can really open to your awareness of how things are changing moment by moment. And how do you know things are changing? Sometimes it's simply a feeling inside of us, but other times we can actually see the symptoms of the change. The pace of the breath may change. The depth of the breath may change. The heart rate may change. And certain thoughts can stoke emotions, drive the heart rate up. As we relax, the heart rate may decrease. We may find the temperature of the skin changes. We may feel perspiration. We can use these physical reactions of the body to learn about ourselves, how we are changing in each and every moment. And even if the territory we go into is unpleasant, is it possible to be open to that unpleasantness? To observe it, to not try to change it, to not try to push it away. To simply be with everything that shows up in our period of meditation practice. And now the time has come for us to draw our practice to its natural close. I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. After you hear the sound of the bell subside completely, feel free to open your eyes, stretch out, and to begin moving around. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for practicing with me. Being here for each other as well. Appreciate the community here. Thanks, Ruby. Thank you, Jean. And how did it go today? Specifically, as we explore non-striving, as we explore the impermanence of our physical and emotional state, what did you notice as we worked through our practice today? And as I'm waiting for comments to come in, just want to highlight a couple things that non-striving is necessary for in our lives. One of them is sleep. If you notice, this is number one now. If you notice, sleep is something that the harder you try to get there, the farther away it becomes. And relaxation can be like that too. That as we, if you really look at how insomnia is and how insomnia works, it's that there usually is a kind of anxiety that comes along with it, and of course, the anxiety itself makes sleep farther and farther away. That we look at the clock and go, it's 2 a.m. If I sleep now, right? We start doing that calculation, right? If I sleep now, I'm going to get 4 hours of sleep. I'm not going to be able. I've got a big presentation tomorrow. If I, oh my goodness, what if I don't get 4 hours of sleep? What if it takes longer and I get only 3 hours of sleep? Or what if and this anxiety is builds up and makes it so that our sleep is even harder to get to. And so this is true as well with relaxation, that the more we go, well, why am I not relaxed? I need to chill out, right? I mean, what's the one thing, right? If you're having a confrontation with another person, right, and the other person goes, calm down, right? This is usually a really counterproductive thing, because maybe the exact opposite kind of thing happens. And so we just go, hey, I'm not calm right now. I can't force myself to be calm. And a lot of times in these situations, the best thing to do is to walk away, to focus on the breath. Use something that isn't going to keep that mind churning and bringing you back into that, into the thoughts that are stoking that fire and making things even bigger, and whatever it is. I mean, whether it has to do with calming down, relaxing, going to sleep. That a lot of times, I know when I have trouble falling asleep, focusing on the breath is helpful, because not because it makes me more relaxed. It's mostly because it keeps me out of the thoughts that are in here, right? The thoughts like that, like, hey, I'm only going to get 4 hours of sleep if I don't go to sleep now. And to try to just let go and accept, go, hey, this is it. This is how things are right now. I'm not able to fall asleep in this moment, and that's okay. That this is me right now. And you'll find that, that's what's funny is I almost want to give a guarantee that your sleep comes, but that's the problem, is that as soon as you think that, as soon as you do something that you think is guaranteed to make you sleep, you have that thought that this thing leads to sleep, then it won't work, right? And that really sums up non-striving, is that it's really is this: I think this X leads to Y, and because of that I do X, and Y comes. There's so much of that in the meditation practice. I have to say, my last Vipassana retreat that I went on, it was in September, I expected some results from that retreat, and consequently, those results never came. And that's just how meditation works. Okay, I'm going to look at the chat here. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for being here today. I can today with me an intention. I came to practice, to be here, to be now. As we ended, I wanted to continue. Yeah, and that's important to understand the difference between an intention and a goal. I think I have gone through that. I think it's in my previous sessions, if you want to know, because of course we did that at the beginning of this year. What are my intentions for the new year? So if you go back to pretty much a lot of January's live events were dedicated to intentions. So what's the difference between an intention and a goal? And that and see that. Dirk says, confrontation with myself, not always easy. And I'll say, thanks, Dirk, for sharing. And for me, never easy. I think that confrontation with myself is always challenging. And I think I struggle with self-compassion a lot during those self-confrontations to try and this goes hand in hand with non-striving. So it's like, can I see myself, see what I want to achieve, but to be gentle with myself in this moment, so that, we talked again last month about procrastination, and I think that all of this stuff goes together. Interestingly, intentions, procrastination, non-striving, that these things all subtly interact with each other. And I think as you can see that if you're one of the reasons we procrastinate is just because of our desire for the perfect self, and our difficulty with being who we are, and our striving to be different. Susan, I've been struggling with trying to improve my mental health. I've been trying and doing so much and feeling stuck, of course. And then I literally stumbled on this meditation today. Thanks, Susan. Thanks for sharing that, and I'm really happy to have you here today. I try to go to therapy with an intention. What do I want to address? What do I want to get out of my therapy that day? I think that's useful, right? It's useful to kind of have a direction, that to kind of know, well, here's what it is. And then of course, like in therapy, for example, then you have you at least have a starting point, and it may stick with that for today, or it may be moving on. Indeed, the work is never done, says Tina. Thanks. Natalie Garr says, if I can't sleep, I do know one of the meditations, and I do one of the meditations, and then I can sleep. And I think that, and that's and thanks for sharing that, Natalie Garr. And I think I used to have this rule that if I had stayed awake for 30 minutes, I was like, well, hey, I've got to do my daily meditation anyway. And I would go do it, and then usually within 5 minutes I would fall asleep. But I was always cautious to do the meditation with an attitude of non-striving, and to lie back down in bed with that same attitude. Because even though I knew that was the pattern that tended to happen, I knew that it doesn't always happen. That, maybe it happens 90% of the time, and 10% of the time it doesn't, and I stay awake. And then, and that's really the question. Can I be cool when it doesn't work? And I think that being cool when it doesn't work makes it work the 90% of the time. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here today, for being with me and all of us in this practice as we talk through non-striving. We're moving into the next attitudes, which I believe should be acceptance. Just have a quick double check. Yes. So on Tuesday morning, my time, here in Singapore, so that's Tuesday morning as well in Australia and New Zealand and the rest of Asia. That's Monday night if you're in Europe or Western Africa, or in the United States or South America, or North America or South America. So join again if you like as we talk through acceptance and keep working through the 9 attitudes of MBSR. Okay. Let's close our practice the way that we always do. So one of the great things that we can practice is self-compassion, and also extending that compassion to everywhere else. Oh, and Chris reminds us and me that we have a circle. So there's an Insight Timer group called Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle, where some of the participants are hosting meditations in there. The admins and the moderators are hosting additional meditations, so you can meditate together in those as well. So thanks, Chris, for reminding me. All right, so let's send our well wishes out, starting with ourselves. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching and listening wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all human beings on this planet, near or far, big or small, those who are at peace and those who are in turmoil, I wish them all happiness and peace. All right. Oh, and Spring Ahead is in US is this weekend. Okay. Thanks, Gene, for the reminder. So that means this time will be, it's going to stay the same time for me. So it might be a different time. It will be a different time for you if you're in the US. So just be aware. Insight Timer will, if you book the event, if you add it to your schedule, I'm not sure exactly how that works, then it will be sure to show up at the right time. Okay. Thanks, Gene. Time is a man-made construct. See you guys later.